Hi, how are you doing? I'm doing great because today we're talking about everything I watched in October. Now, signing on this video, I already filmed this once. Mic wasn't working, have to refilm it. I apologize. If you watch every single one of my videos, this is a disclaimer you're gonna hear a lot in the upcoming videos because I was pre-filming a bunch and I only realized after that my mic wasn't working and hadn't been working for a little bit. So yeah. This is the second time I filmed this video. Hopefully it won't affect anything that I'll talk about too much, but it might, so keep that in mind. And yes, today we're talking about everything I watched in October. October ended up being a very different month than I originally expected because I was quite sick for quite a bunch of it, and therefore kind of a lot of those seasonal watches that I was planning didn't end up coming to fruition because that was not the mood I was in while I was just really sick. But I did still watch a whole lot. So let's just go through them, starting with the seasons I watched, what I'm currently watching, and then the movies I watched. Final timestamps to all three of those categories are in the description, so you can click around to what you're most interested in. And let's just begin with the seasons I watched this month. Starting off with Criminal Minds season 15, which is technically the final season in like the original show, and then it was cancelled and picked up again a couple of years later. So technically this is the end of a story. I ended up giving the season a 4 star. I generally thought that for this like what at the time was seen as the final season, they brought in all the stops. I feel like the character dynamics were absolutely top notch. Some of the storylines were really great. There were some really interesting cases in it, and overall the way they wrapped things up in that final episode was just absolutely stunning and made me bawl my eyes out because I just cried so much. Only reason why this wasn't like a 5 star season for me is that we have a kind of reoccurring unsubjected season that I just thought was really fucking lame, and I barely even got why he was a threat. So why did we spend so much screen time on him? I don't know. Then next I watched Heartstopper season 3, which of course came out this month. This is a 5 star. I feel like every season of Heartstopper ever has been a 5 star for me, even though like I technically when I watched 1 and 2 I wasn't rating my seasons, but like I just love this show so much. And especially this season adapted volume 4 and 5 of the graphic novels, which 4 is my favorite of the series. So if I knew this was going to be good, and it really was. I feel like I managed to bring in those more emotional, serious topics in a beautiful way that makes sense for the show, that took all of those things seriously just the way they're meant to, but also still overall kept the tone of the show feeling the same. Also, just like the expansion on side character stories we got this season, and I don't know, I cried so much. Then next I watched the first season of Single Parents. I already mentioned in my last month's video that I was watching the show, and yeah, I finished the first season this month and I ended up giving it a 3 star. I feel like it was a fine sitcom. I had fun watching it. I do think it did it concept well, but nothing about it really stood out to me. So it's just like in the middle to me. There's some great fun family vibes, but overall a fine enough time, but nothing like too memorable or special. Next we have FC de Campula season 2, which is a rewatch, and this one I did give it 2 stars. I mentioned before that these earlier seasons are my favorite, and this one especially I just thought was very mediocre, and like none like the standout episodes are in here. Like I feel like every season at least there's one standout episode. This one little. So yeah, I don't know, it's not terrible, just pretty bland to me. Then are you ready for an unpopular opinion? Because I watched Nobody Wants This season 1 and I gave it 2 stars. I didn't like this, which is a shame because I loved the pilot. Like I still watch the show in one go because that pilot was just so good, and the two leads have an amazing chemistry. Everybody is right on that. So I wanted to keep watching and I wanted to love it, but the more I kept going, the more I disliked it. I just feel like this first season was very rushed. Like they got together too soon. Issues like very big life issues got brought up a bit too soon for me within the relationship. It's like, okay, this shouldn't be this much of a deal this early on in a relationship, but apparently it was. And I don't know, I feel like the show lost its steam towards the end for me, and I just did not really care about anything. The side characters, I just also really did not like that much. So whenever we had a B plot focusing on them, I checked out. So yeah, this really wasn't my thing. But then I got back on my K drama shit. I haven't been good at watching K dramas lately, you know that. But I did watch Romance in the House season 1, which I give 2 stars to. This is another one where there's aspects of it that I really enjoy, but like most of it I really don't like. There's two romances in this one basically, and one of them I thought was really cute, very wholesome, and I adored so much. And then when it comes to the family dynamics within the show, I do think there's some interesting moments within the show and some emotional parts to it. I definitely let out a tear or two, but overall I just feel like besides like those two characters that I liked in the relationship, all of the other side characters I wasn't the biggest fan of. The second relationship I really didn't like. I thought was really poorly developed throughout the season as well. And I just, by the end of it, just was watching it to be done with it because I just didn't really care anymore. So back into a positive review, this time for season 2 of Single Parents, which I gave 4 stars to. I feel like this season they really found their groove, which is really sad because they also got cancelled after this season. There is no more after this. Because especially just the second half of the season was a 5 star to me. Like the first half was still kind of like finding its way because in the season we kind of get more of the kids having their own stories, not necessarily always like involving parenting and stuff, just like kids being kids and having dealings with those things. And I feel like because the kids played a bigger part this season, the first half kind of again was trying to find its footing a little bit. It still was really funny, really good, very entertaining, but you know, it was like trying to find that balance there. And the second half I feel like it just like hit the ground running. It was so good. And I honestly think it's a shame, especially after that finale, for the show to have been cancelled. Like want I don't know. I I want damage support basically because I was emotionally damaged by that. Then next up we have English Teacher season 1, which I gave 5 stars to. And I honestly was debating on this rating for a while because you know, when you compare it to like Heartstopper, for example, which I also gave 5 stars earlier in the month, I didn't love this with as much of a passion as that. But ultimately, when I came down to it, a 4 star also didn't feel right because it just, I don't have any complaints about the show. It's very funny. I kind of like, I like the characters. I mean, they're very unlikable, but I feel like it works for the setting that they're in, and you root for them anyway, and you just enjoy following them. And I don't know, I was just looking forward to each episode each week. I was very sad when it was over. Then next, another show that's finished up this month is Only Murders in the Building season 4. This is again an easy 5 stars. I feel like this was a return to form. Season 1 was superb, one of the best pieces of television I've ever seen. And then I feel like 2 went a bit down, and 3 went even more down. But 4 brought it back up. It's just right on the season 1, just because season 1 I feel like has a stronger reveal than this one. But for the rest, the season was just so good with amazing moments between the trio, which I'm very glad we got back. As I feel like my main complaint last season was that they were split up a lot. So the fact that we got a whole lot of them together this season just warmed my heart. That's how you do a heart. And I loved it. It was also really funny, really action packed. I loved the inclusion of kind of like the Hollywood scene, even though like only one episode actually takes place in Hollywood. But like, you know, the whole teaming around stunt people and like Saz in particular, I thought Saz being the focus of the season was incredible and caused a great emotional like center to the story. But even just like focusing on stunt people and making a movie and stuff like that and having the actors be a part of it as well, I feel like was just such a fun and interesting framing for the show that really worked well. I love the Westies. I know some people were a bit disappointed by their ultimate wall in the season. I'm trying to say things without spoiling anything, but I love them and I hope we get more of them in future season. I thought the Westies were a lot of fun. And yeah, I thought this was just a really solid season. Like, no complaints. I thought it was so good. And then lastly for today, we have the only like season I'll watch on here, and it's Agatha Lawrence season 1, which also 5 stars. Oh, talking about peak, this is it. This was so good. It generally, I don't love it as much as WandaVision, but it gave me like the same vibes of watching WandaVision week to week to week. If you don't know, WandaVision is my favorite MCU show, second to Hawkeye, which I rewatch every Christmas season. So be prepared for that to be appearing in my December video. But I think this is like a solid third spot. I have to think over things, but I think it has that mantle taken of like being in that top 3 because it generally is that excitement I had each and every week. It's just unmatched, only by WandaVision, truly. And I just thought it was really well done. I loved the witchy vibes. The concept of the Witch's Road was really interesting. The cast of characters were just so great to follow. and I don't know, it was just so well executed. That's all I can say about it. And yeah, that brings us to my currently watching list. I'm gonna say, if you watched my everything I watched in September and you think, why is this show on her currently watching that month and not this month, despite also not being in the season watch list, it's because this is only for shows that I actually make progress in October. So I need to have watched at least one episode in October for it to make this list, if that makes sense. But yeah, let's start with the shows that I'm technically caught up on. So that means that these episodes are still airing. And starting off, we have Milo season 2. We talked about this last month because this is it's gonna take a while before the season is done. But I love the show so much, and I feel like what they're doing with this season, honestly, the moment we're in right now, I'm a bit unsure about some decisions made, but I have all my faith in it. Like, some good shit has happened this season already, so like you know, I have faith in the fact that it will all work out. Then next we have Taskmaster Series 18, which honestly has been so close to my favorite season of Taskmaster, which is season 7, which I think is like the most popular season of Taskmaster. And this has come so close to me. Like, I laugh so much during these episodes. It's so funny. Such great tasks, such a good cast. Like, I genuinely, like, every other second I have a new favorite contestant of this season, because I was like, oh yeah, this person is definitely my favorite this season, and then another person does something really funny. I'm like, oh no, they are my favorite person, and I just keep switching because it was so good. And we only have a handful of episodes left, and I'm not ready for it to be done because it's been such a great season. And then finally, a new entry into the list for like the ones that I'm caught up on technically is Sterrenkamp season 1. This is a Belgian, like a Flemish sitcom, which basically consists out of impersonations of celebrities. And I think so far it's fine. We haven't gotten a whole lot of episodes yet. It just started. So I don't have the best impression of it. I think it's fun. Some impressions are done really good. Some are more middle of the road. There are no bad ones in this so far. So that at least is something. But I feel like it is playing it a bit on the safe side to me when it comes to like actual comedy and storylines. So I'm hoping that might be just because they're still finding a footing like the first couple of episodes, and it might get better, but who knows. Then I only have a very short list for other shows that I'm still watching. It's Criminal Minds Evolution season 16. So this is where it picked back up again. I only watched one episode, but I was just so kind of like shocked, I guess, by the tonal change that came with Evolution. And I still haven't gotten myself to like continue on with it, but I will in November, I promise. I really I started watching Criminal Minds in November of last year, so I kind of want to make it my mission to finish it in November this year. We'll see. I only have this and season 17 left to watch, so I'm almost there. But it's just that Evolution has had such a big tonal shift that it's really getting used to. Like, Criminal Minds already isn't like my typical show. I just for some reason love it. I also don't get it. So with Evolution, I'm still kind of like trying to find my bearings. But I do think that the concept for this part of the show is so interesting. So I am very excited to continue on with it. The next, another K-drama, Love Next Door season 1. I love this, but I sobbed my eyeballs out every episode. So I've been like pacing myself. I need to catch up. I do, because it is so good, but it's not good for my heart, man. Then next we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm on season 1. I started this for the first time ever. I've not seen this before. I've heard a lot of great things about it. This is one of those like seasonal watches that I wanted to get to this month, and it's the only one I actually ended up getting to properly. Even though I'm only like 3 episodes in, I believe, so it's not that far, but I am really enjoying it. It's very fun, it's very camp, and I'm very excited to continue on with it. The next we have Extraordinary season 1, which last month, if you remember, I kind of did a like pilot evening where I watched the pilots of a couple of shows that I really I've been meaning to watch to just kind of like get myself going. And technically Extraordinary was my favorite of the bunch, but I just at the time was more in the mood for single parents, so I continued on with that. But now that I finished that, I moved on to Extraordinary and it's been a blast. So yeah. And then finally for the currently watching section, we have Episode Campione season 3, a rewatch. Again, these are just doing reruns on TV every Saturday, so I'm watching a new episode every Saturday as they're on TV, and that's how I'm watching them. That's it. And then my ending with the movies I watched this month. This is like the most seasonal we're gonna get, but still not that much. Then off with It's What's Inside, which comes in 2024, and I give 5 out of 5 stars to. I surprisingly really love this one. I watched this because of Emma of Amanda the Jedi's video on it. I watched the entire video, which contains spoilers, so I already knew what was gonna happen. But I thought, oh my god, that movie sounds so interesting, despite being so far removed from what I would typically watch. And then I watched the movie and I was like, oh god, this was so good. So I'm glad I did that. I'm also glad that I actually watched Amanda's video before watching the movie, because I feel like there's a lot of things that you'll only be able to pick up on if you know how it ends. And already knowing how it ends because of that video, I was able to pick up on all those things and just made it so much cooler. So yeah, I loved it. Highly recommend. And then next I watched Insidious, which came out in 2010. I think a fun start to. You know, a couple of years ago, I started watching the Conjuring franchise, and I very slowly made my way through that. And like at a certain point, I got caught up on it. I'm behind again. But this Halloween season, I kind of wanted to try and find another horror franchise to kind of like get into, because I'm not the biggest horror person. So you know, I thought I'd go with Insidious because we're the same makers as The Conjuring. But and also I heard great things about it. And I thought it was so boring. I do not get it, especially because I've seen a lot of people say that Insidious has the best jump scare ever in it, and I know what scene they're talking about, and I didn't jump, and I jump at everything. So I feel like that perfectly speaks on my thoughts on this movie. I thought it was so boring, and I wanted to get it over with. The next I watched The Menendez Brothers, which came out in 2024, and I didn't give a rating to. I'm not gonna talk about like the actual contents of this documentary because I don't know enough about that. I do recognize that every documentary is at least a bit biased, so I don't want to speak too much on that. But the documentary itself, to me, felt very disjumbled. I had a hard time kind of like following along from time to time. I just felt like it jumped around a little bit too much, and therefore I don't know. I didn't love it, but I also feel like it did a good job at like presenting a lot of information. So there's that. Then next I watched Lonely Planet, which came out in 2024, and I also gave a 1 star to. This just, I don't know, I wasn't expecting too much from it, but is it too much to ask to at least have fun while watching a Netflix rom-com? This was such a bore again, so soulless as well, and I don't know, I wasn't a big fan. And next I watched Orphan for Skill, which came out in 2022, which I give 2 stars to. I watched the first Orphan when this came out because everybody was just like hyped about it, and for some reason I thought it was last year, but apparently it's 2 years ago. My concept of time is like truly fucked, I'm telling you. But I wasn't already the biggest fan of that. I just had some issues with that movie, but I overall do understand why people like it. But with this sequel, I've heard so many great things about it, and I don't get it. Like, I honestly don't. Like, it's not horrible. There were some parts to it that I didn't like, but overall I just thought this was extremely predictable, and I don't know, I don't get it. Finally, for this whole video, the final movie I watched this month is Olivia Rodrigo Guts Will Tour, which came out in 2024, and I give 5 stars to. I love Olivia so much. Her music, obviously, I don't know her personally, but I haven't been able to see her live, just that's not been in my cards, and therefore I just really love that the concert was recorded for Netflix, because I thought this was such a good show. Like, honestly, I had such a fun time watching this. Just kind of like singing along to the songs. I thought the set list was just really well done, and the overall just like stage presence of Olivia is incredible. And yeah, I love this so much. If you're a fan, definitely you'll love this too. Anyway, that is everything I have for you today. My throat is starting to hurt a little from all the talking, so I'll leave you be, and hopefully I'll see you around next time. Goodbye. Here I am again, the same old situation. What does the guy